India's exports defy tariffs, strengthen hand in U.S. trade talks. December 17, 2025. India's exports surged in November despite steep U.S. tariffs, strengthening New Delhi's position in ongoing trade negotiations with Washington and easing pressure to secure a quick deal. Shipments to the United States jumped over 22% year-on-year, outpacing overall export growth of more than 19% and lifting total goods exports to $38.13 billion, according to government data. This marked the highest November export level in a decade. The rebound has eased concerns of a prolonged tariff-driven slowdown after U.S. President Donald Trump doubled duties on Indian goods to 50% in late August following stalled talks. The hike included a 25% levy imposed in retaliation for India's purchases of Russian oil. Exports to the U.S. had fallen nearly 9% in October after hitting a record low in September, while the rupee slid to a historic low. Analysts say the recovery, alongside strong domestic growth, reduces India's urgency to concede in negotiations. Ajay Srivastava of the Global Trade Research Initiative said India now has leverage to push for a tariff cut to 25%, especially after sharply reducing Russian crude imports. Economists credit export diversification and resilient domestic demand, which helped India's economy grow 8.2% in the July-September quarter. GDP growth is forecast at least 7% in 2025-26. Madhavi Arora of MK Global noted that electronics largely tariff-free led US-bound exports, while tariff-hit sectors performed better than expected as exporters tapped new markets. Electronic goods exports rose 38% during April-November. Smartphone manufacturing by firms such as Apple has been central to India's manufacturing push, with most iPhones exported by Foxconn from India this year headed to the US. Services exports provided additional support, totaling $35.86 billion in November and generating a services trade surplus of nearly $18 billion. A weaker rupee down about 6% against the dollar this year also helped offset tariff pressures. Buoyed by improved data, Indian officials have held firm against U.S. demands, particularly on agriculture. A senior official said India has no plans to increase imports of corn or allow genetically modified crops. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Trump last week, their third call since tariffs were raised, but talks remain inconclusive. A recent visit by U.S. Deputy Trade Representative Rick Switzer also failed to yield a breakthrough, though India's Trade Secretary said both sides were close to a framework agreement. Exporters remain cautious. While marine exports rose 20% during April-November, shipments to the U.S. have collapsed due to tariffs. Pawan Kumar of Sprint Exports said his firm's U.S. shipments have fallen to near zero. Regaining the U.S. market is the only permanent solution, he said. By Reuters, story by Manoj Kumar and Shivangi Acharya, December 17, 2025.